That's from one angle, and from another angle is just not only the hip hop, it's the music that I do.
All right.
It's the music that I do. The thing is that I've always been hearing that, Qusai, you were ahead of your time.
Hello and welcome to the Mayman Show. We are coming to you from our studios in Riyadh, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And today we have a veteran rapper in the Saudi and international scene. The man goes by the names such as Don Chameleon, Don Legend, but we all know him as Qusai. Thanks for being with us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And before we start this, where did you get Don Chameleon? Is it because you're an adaptive person?
Well, first, I need to make some corrections.
Yeah.
I don't like to be called a rapper.
Yeah.
Because that's not the only thing that I do. Rap is just one form. It's more of a hip hop artist.
Okay.
And it's not Don Chameleon. It's Don Legend, the Chameleon.
Don Legend, the Chameleon.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Don Legend.
So it's a it's both put together, and I just gave you two different ones.
Yeah. So Don Legend is a name, and Chameleon is another name, and there's a long story behind that. But it's the Gemini in me, since it's Gemini, so it's Don Legend and Chameleon.
Okay, but when I read Chameleon, I was like, this dude's adaptive, man. Yeah.
There you go. So the meaning behind Chameleon, exactly. It's in my personality.
Okay.
So.
Well, so you've done a lot of things in your career, but let's jump into what you're currently doing. So when I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, you started with AlUla FM.
That is correct.
Yeah. So what do you do there?
Yes. Well, I got my own show. It's 5 days a week, from Sunday to Thursday, from 5 to 7 p.m. It's a new station that is all in English under the RCU, the Royal Commission of AlUla, and they approached me that they're planning to establish this new radio station all around the kingdom, starting in AlUla, and mainly it's for shedding the light in AlUla and everything that's going on in it. So I thought that this could be a great opportunity, especially that it's all in Riyadh at the current moment. And I had some plans in mind to come to Riyadh because that's what everything is happening nowadays. They didn't want it to leave Jeddah because I'm a Jeddah boy.
Okay.
But when opportunity calls, you'll be dumb if you don't answer it.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am, and just became part of the team, and through the whole development of the show and the ideas, and I'm doing it. I always had love and passion for radio. And when I was in college, I had my own radio show in '96.
All right.
And I just loved the environment of the radio, and I felt like I can do good in it, but didn't expect that I was going to be actually on the radio, especially now at this period in time in my life. I thought that I was planning to be on the radio maybe a little bit in the future.
Okay.
But it's here, and I'm here, and it's been great. The team is great, and so far so good. We're taking steps to elevation.
Okay. And then how's this experience different than doing radio and before, and also other aspects? So
well, the difference is we're talking 1996,
yeah,
and now we're in 2023. So the radio has definitely got developed, and I got developed. I matured. So I was a college student, and it was a hip hop show, and it was a college radio, in the city of Burlington, Vermont, out of all places. It was
Burlington, Vermont.
Yes, it was in St.
Michael.
Michael.
College there?
Yes, I went to St. Michael's College the first year.
Okay.
And when I worked at WWPV 88.7 FM, I still remember the name.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a great opportunity. It was fun. But
right.
Of course, the equipment was old school. We were still using the CDs, and we had some vinyls, and we could play some records.
Okay.
And ever since, I just fell in love with the vinyls and the records, and I became a big collector. So anywhere I go, wherever there's like moms and pop shops,
mm-hmm.
I'm there, and I'm loop dig, and I just search for records. Coming all the way to 2023, there is no records and there's no CDs. Everything is just digital. Everything is just on your computer.
All right. And what kind of music did you look for when you were looking for these vinyl records?
Old school. Old school. There's nothing but old school. And I'm talking from 1959 till 1999.
All right. So
Yeah.
you like looking for Cool in the Gang,
That's
Earth, Wind and Fire,
There you go.
that kind of stuff.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Nice, nice. And aside from AlUla FM, you keep yourself busy, of course, always. Tell us a little bit about your latest projects. What are you working on?
Well, I mean, I do music nonstop. I'm always in the studio, any studio, whatever I find myself in, I'm in. Um, been working on a lot of songs. I mean, I got a lot of songs and a lot of brand new material, and I always like to challenge myself and the material that I do. I make sure that every song is different than the other. So you can say that I have an EP, I have an album, I have singles, some in Arabic, some in English, some mix in both. But currently, I've just been throwing some singles here and there until I found the right time and the right deal and work with the right people, because mainly I'm not planning to release anything that I truly believe in, because I definitely elevated when it came to my music and my sound, and I feel so proud of the new material that I have, and that's why I'm holding on to it, because I wanted to make sure that that it's released right and it's delivered right, the marketing behind it.
It's giving you that nice, tender attention and love and care to blossom into.
Absolutely. I mean, the industry has completely changed.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like before, so I have to adapt to that.
Okay.
And so this is from the musical perspective, and acting. I just got into acting, and I shot something with Netflix in 2021, and it was released already, in a series called Techie, and season 3. And then in 2022, I did a pilot with a company in Egypt for another series, but we don't know how long that's going to take for it to be out. And of course, with NBC Studios in Shahid, I shot a couple of major series, and we're just waiting all the time for it to come out and see the light. Yeah. And the last thing, I've shot a movie as well with the director Ahad Kamil. Okay. The name of the movie is called My Driver and I. And it was definitely a beautiful experience. And that was the last thing that I did, which is in February 2023. And by March 2023, I moved to Riyadh, and I'm here.
All right. Well, welcome to Riyadh. And so what makes acting and performing music different? How do they differ from each other?
Well, I mean, they're two different worlds. Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to the music, that's my love, that's my passion, that's my core, and there's more freedom in there than in the acting. Acting, you gotta have patience, and you gotta go by the rules and what the directors and the producers want you to do. And the hours is pretty exhausting, but it's definitely something beautiful that I love, because ever since I was young, that's how I learned my English. I learned my English from music and from movies. Yeah. I learned how to speak English and the pronunciation of the word before I even knew what the word means.
Okay.
So music and movies helped me a lot in my English, but I focused more on the music throughout my whole entire career, because I was picky with whatever projects that came to me through my life, whether it's the wrong time or the wrong character or just the wrong deal.
All right.
Plus, I used to have long dreadlocks. That was an obstacle.
Okay.
But when the locks were out, and found myself after 2020 that I was on the call again, and here I am. I got into acting, and I love it. I'm rolling with it. I'm not really pursuing it 100%, but
you're dabbling in it right
now. Yeah.
See how it goes.
But I love it, and I'm loving the compliments that I'm receiving from whoever that I'm working with, and from the people and the fans that are watching me. They said, "Man, you should have been acting a long time ago."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, here I am. But music always comes first to me.
All right, and then let's get back to music. So you just said recorded a lot of tracks and you're waiting for the right moment and right opportunity to release them. Are any of them international project?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I already got a full album that is waiting for me in the States, and a couple of singles as well, old and new. And I'm not planning to release them until I make sure that that everything is right, the time is right, and the people that I'm working with is right, and probably that I need to be in the States.
Okay.
Because I want it to be released from there. From here, I don't want to go through what I went through with some projects that I've released.
All right.
That has been misunderstood, or the people that I worked with or dealt with did not know what to do with it or how to market it.
Okay. Because it's a new, hip hop is relatively, kind of like a different genre for this part of the world.
That's from one angle, and from another angle is just not only the hip hop, it's the music that I do.
All right.
It's the music that I do. The thing is that I've always been hearing that, Qusai, you were ahead of your time.
Yeah.
When it comes to the music that I did, ever since I started. Not talking about in the 90s, because it was all on the underground period. I'm talking when I first came to the mainstream, which is that was in 2007, 2008, and the first single was "The Wedding," and that was like the opening door to whatever that came after it. The success was great, but still, they could not really understand what's my direction and my mission and the music that I'm delivering. I want it to be different than anybody. I just don't want it to be the same with whoever is out there, and to stay relevant, with the new sound. No, I respect all the new sounds and the development of it, but I take it, but I cook it and I release it my way. So
all right, yeah, it has to be a certain, basically the type to attract you, right? You're not going to sit there and follow the trends.
No,
take what it is and
it's not me.
Turn it into your own art form, right?
Absolutely.
All right. And so aside from farming music and hosting, being part of the AlUla FM team with the Royal Commission for AlUla, you've hosted, the Joy Awards. You've hosted the Arab's Got Talent.
Joy Award was only the first season. That's it.
Yeah,
the first one. I mean,
yeah, I know, but you're still, you're in the, in front of a crowd of people hosting a program. How did that feeling? How was the experience? Because obviously, performing music and starring in a movie or like anything like that is completely different than being in front of a crowd.
Being on stage in front of people performing is totally different than just hosting.
Yeah.
When I'm performing, the energy is different. I feel different. I fly. I go crazy. Hosting is a bit more hard. You can say harder.
Yeah. How's it harder?
It's the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a fear that plays a part. The adrenaline that you have inside of you is like the heartbeat, and you're just getting ready, and but that's only in the first minute or so, and then after that you just starting to ease up, and I just go with the flow. Mm-hmm. But to be in front of a crowd, is just like the point of being a public speaker. Not everyone is good at public speaking, but once you're good at it, you will feel comfortable. But I truly believe that every time when you get on stage, if you don't have that element of fear, that means something is missing. You know what I mean? As long as I still have that, that means, we're still good to go, that I can still continue doing it. But, I'd rather get on stage and perform than host. But hosting is definitely MCing, and the hip-hop artist is an MC. So,
I tried my hand at MCing a couple times. It's not that I'm bad at it, but like you said, the first couple of minutes, are, you get like, you're scared a bit, and you overcome it, and you keep going. But everyone assumes that just because I'm in front of a mic with guests on a regular basis, I can just sit there and jibber jabber my way.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's not the case at all.
True.
I've done a few. Maybe I'll do some more after this interview. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
And so you started out in 2007, and what makes the Saudi music industry a compelling offering right now, and how is it different than when you started?
Well, the talent first of all has always been here. It was just all about the matter of time to set the outlet for them, to give them the attention that they need and the spotlight and the development, and that's what's happening right now. Before, the music has always been here. You know, Saudi Arabia has always been rich when it comes to their music and to their culture. But I mean, through all the ups and downs, we're finally here where we need to be. We should have been here a long time ago, but hey, it's a good thing. It's a good sign, especially for the next generation. But I mean, as far as hip hop is concerned, again, there's a lot of great hip hop talents in here, but still not much attention is given to hip hop as a culture and for the hip hop artist yet.
All right. And where do you believe the untapped opportunity is there? Because we have a large, vibrant hip hop scene here. I personally listen to hip hop music, and ever since I was a teenager, we were all listening to all sorts of hip hop music, from Snoop Dogg to LL Cool J.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, where's the untapped opportunity, you think, for that as an artist?
Well, I think besides the fact that hip hop is a foreign art,
Okay.
so we still looked at that it's American, it's English, it's international, so it's not really related to us, to our culture, to our language. But then again, hip hop is a universal genre of music right now, and it's only 50 years old right now, since 1973, I would say.
Yeah.
And it just blossomed all over the world. I mean, in many different languages. So it's only right to be part of the Middle East, because first of all, I mean, our language is a very rich language.
Yeah.
And hip hop is really about a poetical rhyme. And we're masters when it comes to poetry.
And shadat.
Yeah.
Stuff. Now, there's always something that you
So yeah.
All right, fair enough. And since you've given us some examples about hosting a radio show and in college, doing underground records, releasing your first albums, and in the 2000s. What's your fondest moment? If you had to give me like a fondest moment that you've had in your career that you think is like, yeah, this is my fondest moment. This is something I'll cherish.
There's a few of them, but maybe the first one that comes to my mind is 2017.
All right.
I performed at the House of Blues in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
I graduated from the University of Central Florida in 2002.
All right.
So I used to go to that House of Blues and watch some of my favorite artists, from Outkast to Music Soul Child, Common, Kanye, to name a few. And then years later, the UCF alumni invited me to do a little bit of motivational speaking and a little presentation for the international students over there. And it just happened that I graduated 15 years before.
Okay.
And at the same time, they booked me for a show at the House of Blues. And I was like, oh, wow. I used to be just a fan and one of the audience to watch the superstars on that stage. And then once I was an opening act back then, and now I'm here and I'm a headliner, and I see all these people are watching me in the city that I used to love and live at and graduated. And I saw a lot of my old friends that came over there and they supported me and they supported the show. That was a feeling in the show that I will definitely never forget. So that was one of them. And I have some couple of ones. The latest one that I have in mind is I never thought that I was going to do a show in Sudan.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Al-Khartoum, it was the first time I visited, was in February 2020.
Okay.
I know, alhamdulillah, that I have a big fan base around the Middle East and around the Arab world, but particularly in Sudan, we've been trying to do a show there for years.
Okay.
And then it just happened that they finally called me and they said, hey, this is the time for you to come and do a show in Sudan. And everything was just last minute, you know. But at the end, we went over there and we rocked it. And I performed the song Black Pharaohs, which is a song that I made for the Sudanese people, dedicated to the Sudan, featuring Sudanese artists, you know, a great artist. His name is Ahmed Amin.
Good.
And we performed it once, and the people went crazy, and they asked for it again and again. So I believe we performed it like 3 times. That was a show that I will never forget, because the love and the energy that I've received from my Sudanese people it was just overwhelming. And I just can't wait to go back there again. And of course, you know, I performed all around the world, but these are the main 2 that I can remember and I will never forget.
All right. And, you know, so you're a pioneer. You know, you started this performing in this genre before anyone even bothered to think about it. And obviously, when you're a pioneer, you're usually subject to criticism. Why are you doing this? So who supported you in your beginnings? Who influenced you to keep going?
My mother.
Yeah.
She was the number 1 supporter for me ever since she saw the talent in me and saw that I was really into music. And when I got into music, I got into DJing at first. You know, so she helped me get my very first DJ mixer. And of course, an old friend of mine, his name is Faisal Al-Ghadi. Call him the Judge.
The Judge.
Yes. Al-Ghadi, the Judge.
Is his last name?
Yes. He was always there for me. He always allowed me to come to his place, and every weekend when we were young, and just we kept doing music, and because he had all the music, you know.
All right.
And we were, you know, rapping and recording tapes and everything. But I kept it going, you know. He reached a certain area, and then he just stopped while I kept it going. So mainly, and then you know, some of the people that was around me, but most, they were just looking at me awkwardly or weird, like I'm an outcast or an alien. Okay. But only few ones, like my grandma, God rest her soul. She always thought that I was different and unique and special.
Okay. Interesting. Yep.
Later on, you know, here comes the other friends and the family members, and of course my father, who finally approved, because he was worried. Yeah. He was worried about if I entered this business and I'm doing something totally it's never been done before. Yeah. And, my father is a very educated individual, and so he wanted the best for his son. I know that because I'm a father myself. But after all the years and me being the stubborn person I am, and
okay, so we have 2 things in common.
You know, so show and prove. And finally, my father noticed that how different and unique I am with whatever I'm presenting. Yeah. And now he's a fan, and he's showing me love. See, the most important thing in my career is if I have the blessings from my parents, my father and my mother, then nothing can stop me. Period.
Right. I mean, the first thing that we have in common is I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mom, God rest her soul. So she pushed me to do all this stuff. And what this generation will never understand is what our generation had to do to obtain music, CDs, especially
tell me about it
and stuff. Yes. Remember, if anyone traveled, or my dad traveled for business, I'm like, yeah, get me this CD, get me this CD.
Yeah, my uncles, man,
get me the new Nas.
My uncles, they always used to fly in the States, and they used to know what I used to love, you know. And every time when they come back, they bring Michael Jackson jacket or some of the records.
Yes, exactly.
The Thriller VHS.
Yeah.
It started there.
The Moonwalker.
Yeah,
like that.
My uncle gave me the Moonwalker thing. Oh yes.
All right. So let's get back to, you know, the period you were listening to a lot of music, and, you know, you were a hopeful musician, performer, and everything. Which artist influenced you, and how?
In music in general, or in hip hop?
Music in general, hip hop. Who gave you that motivation? I mean, you can find motivation through anybody.
Okay, when it comes, I mean, before I was a hip hop artist or a hip hop ambassador.
Yep.
I was a music lover.
Okay.
Artists like Michael Jackson, Prince, Lionel Richie, and George Michael. These 4 mainly paved the way for me to really get into music and get to know it more, and being the artist that I am right now when it comes to the showmanship, the performances, and how different and unique and successful they were. So hip hop though is a different case. Hip hop. The person who introduced me to the hip hop culture and I fell in love with hip hop majorly was LL Cool J.
I was just gonna say that's the guy who made me love hip hop.
Yes, it was LL Cool J.
Yeah.
I heard Mama Said Knock You Out.
Yeah, for you it was Mama Said Knock You Out. Mine was Around the Way Girl.
Okay, that was a good song too.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was a good song too. Yeah, it was Mama Said Knock You Out, and I'm like, oh, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
So I got into the hip hop culture, but I was more as a DJ and a producer. I used to have this little Casio and this little drum machine. I just used to do music and DJ. Then I grabbed the pen and the paper and started rapping when I first heard Tupac.
Right.
So this is mainly the list of the artists that influenced me.
All right.
Of course, to name a few, later on, I got influenced by a lot of major artists, especially in developing my style. Like one of my favorite hip hop artists that till today is Tretch from
Naughty by Nature. I love Naughty by Nature. Neat rhymes, like they don't rhyme, but they're neat.
They're very, very unique.
They go together. You know what I mean?
So Tretch is one. Andre 3000 from Outkast is another one, and Common also. Like those three played a big part.
All right. Okay, that's cool. And I remember myself. I used to have a little mixer and mix music here and there, like tried my hand at DJing, but didn't pursue.
Did it?
I was on a radio station in Portland, Oregon. For like a one shift. It's called Z100.
Okay.
They were doing
like once a week.
No, it was just a competition.
Oh, that was it. That was it.
Never did it again, but it was. I didn't do too bad, but I didn't pursue it like you did. And so, if I tell you, basically, your lyrics, your rhyming skills, and everything like that, what verses pop to your mind right now?
Oh man, because just like I told you earlier, that now I'm in the phase of just nonstop making music, making songs. Right? I don't know why. It's just like I'm hungry. I know that I have a lot of material. I have enough material that if I stop making music right now, I have enough material to release 3 to 5 albums ahead. And just like I told you, I got some projects in the States and some projects here. But I caught the bug.
Okay.
And I just want to continue doing music. So maybe some of the latest that I have in my mind is a song that I'm doing. It's called Original.
Okay.
And the verse goes like, rich in the soul, not the pocket. Reaching the goal when I rock it. I flip the script like Ray Charles did in many. I get inspired, never imitate or copy any. I embrace and observe the signs, 'cause quiet people got the loudest mind. It's the love, not the play in the game. It's the legacy, not the fortune and the fame. So I work in silence and come out victorious, living glorious, big like notorious. A leader never follows, sacrifice the few. So be careful what you wish for. It might come true.
All right, man. That's pretty tight.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And before we wrap up this interview, what personal message do you have for the Arab News audience and the Mayman Show audience?
Okay. First, I would like to say, for those who really been there with me since day one, I thank you so much for the continuous love and support, and just be on the lookout for the new material that I have. I won't let you down. Just be patient and understand why I'm taking so long. I got my reasons. And to you, I'm just saying is love what you do and do what you love.
All right. Fair enough, man. And we can sit and chat, man, all day long.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But I know you got some things to do, and I got some things to do. And I'd like to thank you very much again, man, for accepting this interview.
Thank you for having me.
And before we wrap up the show, I'm actually going to close in the spirit of Tupac.
All right.
For you.
Okay.
So there is no need for you to fear me. Maybe if you take the time to hear me, you can learn to cheer me.
That's right. That's right, my man. Yes, sir.
And stay tuned to the next Mayman Show.